All right, Pub Politics special Wednesday night edition here on Watch Fox News at 10. Phil Bailey back from Canada. Welcome back.
I'm back. Thank you.
Constant once again. Joel Sawyer in for Wes Donahue on the Republican side. Joel, always nice to see you.
Thank you. I've been on more than Wes lately.
I know. You're almost. We may need to actually make that permanent. Yeah. It's Phil and Joel, but the Post-it note may need to become permanent at some point. Guys, this is Ethics Wednesday, apparently. Press conference today with Governor Haley, Attorney General Alan Wilson. We're going to put some bullet points up on the screen, but this was their big ethics reform package that was unveiled today. A couple of things, we'll just go through them real quick. No incumbent exemption for election filings, mandatory conflict of interest recusals by lawyers or legislators, one ethics commission for all public officials, total income disclosure for elected officials, Freedom of Information Act applies to all branches of government. So there's a lot of stuff here, a lot of language. Let's just talk broad, big picture. What does this all mean? Phil, I'm going to start with you.
This should be called Haley Hypocrisy Tour 2012. She's flying around the state today, putting out these bullet points, and she's violated 4 of the 5 of them. And the 5th one, she actually wrote the legislation that caused this ballot chaos this year. On the income disclosure, she hid during the prior to the campaign $44,000 of income she made from Wilbur Smith. The lawyer legislatures, she is guilty of the same thing when she was working for Lexington Medical Center. She took votes while a member of the House that affected Lexington Medical Center. The FOIA issue, she is still hiding behind legislative exemption. We have yet to see the full range of her legislative emails from her service in the House. And this, God, there's so many of them. What did I miss? I better have the list here, because this is so bad. I mean, the hypocrisy is. And then one ethics commission for public officials. She wants to get rid of the House Ethics Commission. That's convenient since she's been hauled in front of it. She offered no money in her executive budget for the State Ethics Commission. So it's just absolute Haley hypocrisy at its worst.
Well, you say that she violated 4 out of the 5. I guess if these are new, she hasn't violated them yet.
Look, yeah, let me jump in here.
Well, there's nothing new.
Let's call this the Democratic hypocrisy tour, because that's ultimately what it is. I mean, like, look, everything you're throwing around words like violated and broken and things like that. Governor Haley has fallen on all these things. She's been through an ethics violation, like tons and tons of an ethics investigation, tons and tons of media scrutiny, and she followed the law on everything. And I haven't seen one single, senator or representative go above and beyond what's required of the law. She has done every single thing required of her. Meanwhile, you're sitting here representing people in the Senate and in the House as well, who are lawyer legislators who appoint and influence these boards, appoint magistrates, and then go practice in front of them. It's the height of corruption, and I'm glad she's trying to fix it.
It is a rule in the Senate, a practice in the Senate. If there are attorneys that are senators, they recuse themselves on votes. Unlike what Governor Haley did when she worked for Lexington Medical Center.
Who appoints Orangeburg magistrates? Brad Hutto.
The delegation.
The delegation. No, that is totally untrue.
Delegation.
No, does Brad Hutto recuse himself, or does he sign the letters? He signs the letters, and then he practices in front of those magistrates the next day, knowing that they could fire him if they rule the way that Brad doesn't like.
Lexington Medical Center paying Governor Haley $120,000 and she's voting for him in the House.
Dozens of Democratic legislators who are lawyers who appoint these magistrates and then go practice in front of them. And they leave them in holdover status, so if they rule the wrong way, they could fire them the next day.
There are workers' comp commissioners that are up, and the lawyer legislatures that do comp law recuse themselves.
Well, they recuse themselves on the final vote, but they're involved in the debate, and they're involved in the process, and they're involved in the committee debate throughout, and then they're cutting deals to get the guy they like and to knock out the guy they don't like.
Well, again, that's a real shame that Haley could exhibit such hypocrisy today, talking about how they should be exempt, when she did in fact vote for Lexington Medical Center while getting paid by Lexington Medical Center.
She has followed the laws, and I'm glad she's trying to make them even stronger.
All right, well, we'll see. You even said that earlier we were talking about, you said that you don't think they go far enough.
I think some of them don't. I mean, I think income for elected officials is good. One ethics commission for all public officials is fine. One thing I agree with Phil on is that it does need more funding. He pointed out that Governor Haley didn't propose an increase, but neither has the legislature. The conflict of interest for lawyer legislators. Look, I think if you are an attorney serving in the legislature, you should not be able to practice in front of a state board. You should not be able to be involved in any litigation involving a state entity. Right. And I think that's where we need to go with it.
Well, this is an interesting conversation, no doubt, and I'm sure it's something that'll come up here in future episodes of Pub Politics. One thing I want to talk about, making kind of national political headlines, is the Missouri Congressman Todd Akin, who is running for Senate in November. The controversial comments he made about rape a couple of days ago. Now, there's this big firestorm. It's been litigated on air so many times about what he said. But you guys are in the position of working a lot of times with Republicans, Democrats. So I know you have sage advice for a lot of different lawmakers across the state. When you're advised, first of all, let me just say yes or no. Does Todd Akin, should he get out of the Senate race?
No, I mean, I think that time has passed now.
Okay.
I mean, like, he's made his decision. I think that kind of debate is over. He's decided to stay in, and he's in it for the long haul.
He's the Republican nominee. He should stay in.
Well, you want him to stay. Democrats want him to stay in.
Absolutely.
So when you guys are advising a candidate like this, who maybe, let's say you're representing him, or someone else who makes another controversial statement, obviously I would guess it's the candidate's choice ultimately. But how would you advise a candidate? What are some of the things? Do you weigh pros and cons? How does that process work when you're doing damage control for something like this, Joel?
You say what you're going to say, you apologize, and then you move on. You don't dwell on it. And what is I suspect is eventually going to happen is the more people pile on this guy, the more he is going to start to look like the victim. And if you're smart, you start to use that to your advantage eventually.
Phil?
I think you like what Joel said, apologize as quickly as possible and move on as quickly as possible. The more you talk on a particular screw up, the deeper the hole you're digging, and it'll be tougher and tougher to get out. Just apologize, move on, and try to change the subject.
Do you think, I mean, in your opinion, does this guy have any chance to win the Senate? I know McCaskill, it was the seat, and if she was in trouble anyway.
McCaskill was in big trouble, and it really depends on what Democrats try to do to take advantage of this. There are, it really just depends on their strategy using it going forward. But I mean, McCaskill was in big trouble.
Right.
What's interesting is like some of the national groups have said that they're not going to back him. But if he's within striking distance of this thing mid-October, I bet you those guys are going to be changing their minds.
And that's the thing. We still have 2.5 months to go.
Right.
I mean, a lot can happen
That's an eternity in politics.
In 2.5 months. So we'll be here. We'll be here throughout the 2.5 months, and then I'm guessing around the election. Joel Sawyer, once again on the Republican side, thanks. Phil, welcome back from the Great White North. Glad you're back in the South. PubPoliticsLive.com is the website to see where these guys are going to be every week, and we'll see you guys next week. Right now, back to you.